Hi, for those that don't know me, I'm Virginia Walton, and I'm an executive burnout coach. Prior to starting my coaching practice, I spent 24 years in the banking and finance industry. I worked my way from teller at a small community bank to senior vice president of a $27 billion bank by the time I was 38. And guess what? I nearly burned out on the way. Because it wasn't fancy degrees and family connections that got me up that proverbial corporate ladder. It was hard work and determination. And like many of you, I fell into that nonstop work, meet everybody's demands. You're connected all the time. You're lying down in bed at 11 o'clock at night, checking your email before you put your phone on the charger. Yeah. And it took me to the point of saying, you know what? Maybe I should just go work at Target. I don't really need this. But I didn't, and I'm grateful I didn't. And now I want to help those who are feeling that same way get out of that space and keep excelling, keep advancing. You don't have to work yourself to death to get ahead. You don't have to sacrifice your family or your family time yourself. You can manage it all with some simple shifts. So, today our topic is burnout affecting your performance? So we already agreed, right? We're all in the camp of we're busy and we're trying to handle everything. From work to home to family to community. It's exhausting. And you put everything before yourself, right? Don't worry. You're not alone. There's a lot of us that do that. We're not working as smart as we could be. So you're busting your ass at work. And then, managing everything else. You don't want to miss your kids' practices, their games. You got to get them to dance and whatever other after school activities. And you want to be there and have dinner as a family. And you're just running out of days. You're running out of hours. So you're not showing up as your best. You're not getting enough sleep. You're rushing. You're rushing through your work. Hey, I admit I'm guilty of having to use the recall button on email more than I'd like to admit. Because I was working on an email. Oh, I have to go to a meeting. Oh, there's an instant message. And I got distracted and lost my train of thought. Worse would be I'd get to the end of the day and I'd have all these emails half started and think, oh, I just forgot to hit send. And I'm like, oh, they weren't done. Oops. Or I sent it to the wrong person. Or I only had responded to half of it. Or I read it so quickly, I missed a couple of the key words that changed the whole meaning. And therefore my response was wrong because I read it wrong. Sound familiar? Maybe that never happens to you at work. Great. I'm a little jealous. But maybe while you're kicking ass and mastering work, what's happening at home? Is your kid always the last one that gets picked up from practice? Do you find yourself at 5 a.m. doing laundry because you forgot that they needed their uniform for a game that day? Now, granted, if they're in high school, they can do their own. But you get the point, right? There's a great commercial. I don't even know what the commercial is for. But it's the little kid says to mom, oh, there's bake sale tomorrow. Tomorrow? Did you relate to that commercial? Does any of this sound familiar? Again, you're not alone, right? I get it. I was guilty of waiting till the last possible minute to get up from my desk, to change, to get in the car, to drive, 45 miles to get to run practice. And I had to be there on time. I had 15 kids showing up. And guess what? Their parents were dropping them off in a rush because they had to get some other kid to a practice, or they were rushing because they dropped their first kid off at their practice, or they were going to use the time to go get groceries and they were trying to get all their weekly grocery shopping done during that 90-minute practice to get to the store and back, right? We're all doing it. It's crazy. We got to stop because we're not working as smart. I bet you that mom who was rushing to the grocery store inevitably forgot something she needed. The first year I coached, I had one little girl who, she She was like in the 3rd grade. At that age, you're not really quite able to get all your stuff together yet. She always showed up without a mouth guard. And if you've any idea about the game of field hockey, that's a really hard ball. So a mouth guard is really important, especially if your parents have started to invest in orthodontia. And I got it. You know, single dad, running his own business, doing the best he could. We all get it. So, now I'm not going to tell you, just block your calendar and leave on time. Turn off your phone. It's fine. That's great in an article. Not always in real life, though. Right? That doesn't factor in the types of bosses you might have. I had a boss when I was first told I needed to have my desk phone at work set up to forward my calls to my personal cell, as well as get the app so I could get my work emails. And the words my boss used were, yeah, go have IT set that up, because if you're traveling or I'm traveling, I need to be able to get a hold of you. Okay. Now, if I was traveling on business, I was going to another office, I'd be online. But no, that wasn't good enough. You need to catch me if I was sitting at the gate for a flight. And that's kind of how a lot of us feel. Like we need to be on all the time, especially having been, or maybe you're still in this work from home environment where your computer is right there. You know, it's rare to see people with desktops anymore. So we do feel always on, but a lot of that we impose on ourselves. It took me years to develop the confidence that when I had gotten a new boss, who now he would send his emails usually around 7 a.m. Yeah, I wasn't in the office at 7 a.m. This was pre-pandemic too. And I got a slew of them. I'm like, holy cow. I was in the middle of my workout at home and I hit my phone and I'm like, oh my God. And is he expecting? So I said, hey, boss, I notice that you tend to send me, like, should I be adjusting my schedule? Like, do you expect me to be responding? No, that's just when I work best. I know that you have, East Coast traffic and you'll respond later. But that's when I take care of mine. Oh, okay. I had that simple. I asked, who's a new boss, I stopped freaking out if I woke up to 7 emails. Actually, I got more concerned when I woke up but when I opened up my phone and there wasn't. Because I'm like, does he not need me? But I knew the right expectation. I hadn't done that before when I nearly burned out. If my boss texted me on Saturday, I was like, oh my gosh. Now it's probably not the best. If you're a boss, don't text your people on Saturday. Let them have their Saturday if it's their day off. So listen, you want to be nailing your productivity and moving ahead and not having to go, oh, I have to redo that. Oh, I'm rushing to do that. Leverage the technology, right? We live in this world of instant gratification. Technology is supposed to improve our lives, but it's made us feel like tethered to work, particularly. You're getting text message, instant message, email. I don't know, there's probably another new technology I haven't thought of. And you feel like you have to respond now. It's an instant message. You don't. Not everything is an emergency. Right? Now, granted, I have a school friend who is a pediatric cardiology. She has real emergencies, right? Little kid, heart problems. That's a reason to react to those texts. Get to where that kid is and save his life. Most of us in corporate America, though, not saving lives. Think about it. Is it the end of the world if you read that board material in the morning rather than at 10 o'clock at night? Because that's when your boss finally got around to reading it. Been there, done that. Not everything is an emergency just because your phone bings. You don't need to respond. I know that is easier said than done. It has taken me years of practice to be able to oh, I got an alert. I'm in the middle of something. I will check that when I'm done. I'm not losing my focus on my train of thought. My work right now, what I'm doing, is more important. Because half the time, maybe even more, Those things are not important. A news alert about Queen Elizabeth. I live in the U.S. She's not even my queen. I didn't need to read that right this second. A text from my neighbor that, hey, we're flooding. Yeah, that might be important. But you know when that might be happening, right? Use the tools like instant message, do not disturb, so you can focus and produce quality work without distraction. So you do it once, not have to redo it because you weren't paying full attention. If your culture and your environment is that there's an expectation that emails are responded to immediately, use your out of office to say, I am not available to respond to email for this period of time. Finish what you're working on so that it's the best quality work. I'm not saying, big changes, simple things. Say, hey, I need an hour. If somebody calls or sends an, okay, you know what? That doesn't need to be dealt with now. That is not an emergency. I'm staying focused on what I'm working on. If you can do that simple tweak, and it takes practice. I know. Don't think it's going to be, I'll just start. Because we've been conditioned to respond to those bings, pop-ups. It takes practice to say, you know what? I'm not going to be distracted by that. I need to focus on this board report. I need to make sure that I don't have a grammatical error or that autocorrect changed the client's name because they have some funky spelling to the correct spelling. And now my whole report is wrong or my pitch is wrong. You need to focus on those things. Don't get distracted by every little thing. It takes practice. Start with simple things. If you know you need to do something, if you can't avoid the bing on your desk, turn off your phone. Turn it to silence and flip it over so you don't see or hear it. Put it in your bag. Just till you finish that, then take it out. Turn off instant message on your computer. Put on do not disturb features. Focus. You will be more efficient and more productive. Your work will be better. You won't have to rush like a crazy person because you got it done quickly and correctly. I know it's hard. It takes practice. The other thing, if you're a multitasker, stop. It is not possible to do two things at once. If you're sitting in a meeting and listening, but you're typing an email, all you're really doing is half-assing both of them. Because you're not fully paying attention here, and you're not paying attention. And there's nothing more annoying if you are the person who's focused and present in the meeting, and you can see somebody who's not, and you need their input. They're not there just to sit there and look pretty. They have valuable content to add. You need their perspective. They're a key stakeholder. Yet, they're not listening. So now when you need their input, their decision, they're like, what? Excuse me? Now you have to repeat yourself. Now you're frustrated. So don't set the example. Don't be doing that. Especially if it's your staff or your peers. It's a little harder, I get, with your superiors. Funny story. We used to have a weekly staff meeting. And once the boss stopped talking, he started working his calendar. So as the rest of us are giving our updates for the week, we're all getting meeting invites and all of our computers are pinging. And so we're all like looking at him like, we know you're not listening to us. Why are we sitting here? If you have a great rapport with a peer or a superior who does that, say, hey, do we really need to have this meeting? If it's just you want to just tell us, then could the rest of us go back to our desk afterwards and get some work done while you're doing your calendar? You know, and again, that depends on personality. I get it. Keep in mind, too, it's how you say it. Asking, say, hey, I have an idea. Can I bounce it off you? Might work better than, dude, what the hell? Just kind of what my face would say when all these meeting invites popped, and I just looked at them like, seriously? Really? But control the things you can control. So, listen, when things arise, there will be fire drills and crisis at work. It happens. They may not be lives at stake, but it's something you got to deal with, and it's going to throw your day into a tizzy. Inevitably, it will be the day you've got to get your kids somewhere, and you've got to leave on time. You have a couple choices. You can see if somebody else can manage the carpool and add your kid to theirs, and you'll pay the favor back another day when they have that crisis. You can say, okay, boss, I get it. Listen, I have to leave to get my kid to dance or whatever. There's nobody else to drive them. So give me a little time. Let me take care of that. And then I will address this as soon as they're inside. I'll fire up my computer and Wi-Fi from the car. And you suffer through it. Or if that's not an option, maybe you're the one teaching the dance class or leading the practice. All right, I'll get it done. It's just going to be a little bit later. And then you get home, feed the kids, and you're working till 11 o'clock at night. You do it once, not every night. If it becomes a pattern, if you have a boss that's constantly waiting till the 11th hour to read the material that has to go to the board and has a very firm deadline, say, is there a way I can change what I'm providing you so there's less need for edits? You're not going to change his behavior or her behavior. But see how you can get more in line up front so you're not, maybe all your peers are going to get it, but that's out of your control. And sometimes they may not realize they're doing that and be like, oh, you know what? You know what? I tend to read. So if you could do it 2 weeks early, I'll guarantee, gives me enough time. Usually everybody is late. Oh, you know what? I didn't realize that. Maybe they'll read your portion first. Ask what you can do differently so you can work smarter. You're not always subject to something. You're not going to change them. But sometimes just asking the question, what's the worst that happens? They grumble and get pissy. Yeah. They were probably pissy at the 11th hour when they wanted changes and had to meet them. So no harm, no foul. And at least you were taking control and not just being subject to how they manage. You stepped in to try to control your circumstances. So, try these couple simple things. Silence your phone when you need to focus on something. Turn off your instant message. Turn off your email notifications or close email. Put on an out of office that says, hey, for the next 2 hours, I am heads down on something. I'll get to you later. You're still going to have to deal with all those emails, but you're going to be more efficient and more focused. Try these little things. And don't forget, you're not alone. I've been there, done that. There's light at the end of the tunnel. So if you're like, I get it, but I just don't know where to start, that's where a coach will help you. Reach out. Schedule a call with me. I'm happy to help you start down this path of making these changes. Check out my website, virginiawalton.com. You can drop me a comment here or on LinkedIn, on my website. Let's get in touch. And as always, maybe you didn't need to hear this right now, but somebody you care about does. So consider sharing this. You might be helping a friend more than you know. With that, have a wonderful day and be well.